Welcome to another episode of the Peak Potential Success Show. My name is Fong. I'm an entrepreneur, business strategist, real estate investor, speaker, and a best-selling author. And every single day, I help others unlock the potentials and guide them to succeed. Today on the show, we have a very, very fascinating guest. I saw this person on stage at a recent event, and her message, her topic was so important that I was like, wow, I need to have this person on my show. And here she is today. She brings a wealth and a lot of wisdom to her clients when it comes to her experience in health, fitness, and art. Over 55 plus years of experience in those areas, and she brings in these small steps, helps us implement these habits and these behaviors that compounds the benefits towards those optimal health that everybody really wants to reach. Because as we all know, you could be the best business owner, you could make tons of money, but all that stuff is not relevant if you do not have your health. She helps people find ways to support their bodies, reach peak performance, to resist and prevent diseases, increase our energies, and reduce our recovery time. She also uses art to help find out ways to really reach that the healthiness, and also allow us to decrease our anxiety and stress as well. So please welcome AA advocate, coach, mentor for optimal health and longevity, Ms. Stephanie Shorr.
Well, thank you so much for that introduction, Fong. I'm excited to be here with you today and spread the word about how important it is really to invest in your health. Like you invest in your business, you invest in your own knowledge, but how much time do you really spend investing in your health and looking at the long term? Because a lot of people aren't very healthy in the later part of their lives. And when you want to enjoy all the fruits of your labors, you guys are all working, everyone's working so hard right now. We're all so busy. Our bodies are kind of running along behind us, trying to keep up, and we're not always paying enough attention. So I'm hoping to maybe bring a little attention to that.
Yes, let's dive right into that. As you mentioned already, a lot of people, when it comes to businesses and entrepreneurship, we're so focused on reaching success. We're so focused in the results of our business, the results of our clients, that we usually tend to lose focus on the body results that we have, or our ability to perform, our ability to have that energy that is optimal or really, really important to prop up our businesses. So what are some of the main things that you see in entrepreneurs that you go, you know what, you need to change this, you need to adjust that so you can have better health?
So I think one thing a lot of entrepreneurs do, they figure out what they're going to do the next day. They plan ahead. So maybe in that planning could be something that would enhance the health of your body. Like if you're not exercising at all, maybe you'll go for a 10-minute walk. If you're not drinking enough water, maybe that'll be on your list of to-dos, because like a lot of times you're planning the next day, the night before, or early when you first wake up in the morning. Maybe you'll think about meditating. Maybe you'll think about whatever you're not doing that you think might add. And if you don't even know, there's so many resources now. We're really lucky. I mean, I'm 71, and for me, the internet is kind of a playground, because anything I want to know, there is so much available. I know you have to weed through it. You have to, do your due diligence and check things out. But at the same time, if I want to know how exercise in the brain, what is the effect of exercise on the brain? There's so much research, and it's all valid. And I'll give you an example really quick. And this has to do with the conference we just went to. So I was coming on stage, and I've spoken on stage before. I get a little nervous. So I had a 2-hour break before I was going to talk. So I thought, well, I could go eat lunch, but then I feel kind of logy. I don't know how I'll feel. But having that food, because when you eat, your body goes to digestive mode. That's it. That's priority. And unfortunately, that's a state most of us are in all the time, because we eat 3 meals a day and 2 snacks, but that's like another subject. But anyway, so I took that 2 hours. I went to the gym. I got on the stationary bike for 20 minutes, got my heart rate up, went and took a shower, had a protein shake, got on stage. For the first time in my life, I had no nervousness. I was calm. And I felt really like my brain had been more activated by the exercise. So they actually did a lot of research in Naperville in high schools, and they had kids come in before school and go on the rowing machine or do exercise before testing, and they found the test scores went up. So there's a lot of research on how exercise improves your brain, like real time. Like and actually the benefits, if you exercise regularly, they compound, kind of like when you're investing money.
Well, I don't know if I would think about, I want to go increase my heart rate and sweat and all that kind of stuff 2 hours before I'm about to go on stage. I think in my mind, I'm like, okay, I got to remember this, I got to remember that, I'll practice this and remember to say this certain thing. So that's something new. I never thought that, maybe if I go for a run quickly, That
Or
might
maybe in
actually
the
give me a
morning.
better
I didn't
way
mean,
of approaching it.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm saying, well, maybe even that morning would be fine.
Mhm.
It doesn't have
Well,
to be right before. It was the timing for me.
now for you, when it comes to fitness and when it comes to nutrition, something that's also very important in your health, overall health. What do you do for for your daily routine kind of thing?
Well, I'm kind of glad you asked that. I read this book called Atomic Habits. And one of the things I got out of that, I thought, well, I'm going to put a habit in place I don't have. How do I see myself as I'd like to be? Like if I saw my ideal self, what would that look like? And I thought, well, my ideal self would get up every morning, meditate, and do a little yoga just to get in balance, and then hopefully go for a walk or have some kind of exercise. So I actually implemented sun salutations, which is a yoga exercise, and at least 5 of those, and I meditate for at least 10 minutes. And if I can, I go out for a walk. There's something really, and this is also science, the early morning light on your brain has amazing effects, and it sets our inner clocks in order that, have been there since it's in our DNA, since for thousands of years. So I find that when I can do that, and I don't always have time to do all of it, I have a really, really nice day, and it really helps a lot. As far as food goes, nutrition, if you want to get into that a little bit, there's so many changes in current thought. And the current thought now, and I kind of really agree with it, is that we eat too many meals and we eat too many snacks, and we're always in a state of digestion. Our bodies are designed, we're more like cave people than we are like highly evolved humans who can handle all these highly processed foods, the seed oils, the deep fried. Our bodies, it's clear from the state of our national health that our bodies don't know what to do with all this.
Mhm.
And I think basically we have to step back, take a look, and maybe not eat so many things and so many processed foods. So for me, let's say my perfect day. And obviously we have, family, thing, life gets in the way sometimes. And my mantra is do the best I can, because you want to enjoy your life as well. So I'm not saying, be the one at the table who doesn't eat everything, have a little bit if you can, but at any rate, so my perfect day would be the yoga and the walk. I won't eat probably till 12 or 2. I'm do intermittent fasting, where I try to get 16, maybe 18 hours between food, because I know I'm listening to these thought leaders like Dr. Pradeep Jamnadas is a cardiologist in Orlando, who has fascinating YouTube videos about fasting. And what I learned from him, our bodies being more like cave people, when we don't eat right away, like say in 12 hours, your body starts, there's certain mechanisms in your body that take place. They're part of the process to keep you healthy. So at 12 hours, you've burned up all your glycogen. At 24, and this is different for everybody, depending what shape you're in or if you've ever fasted before, but then you start burning up these recycled proteins your body produces. After that, and this is what hooked me, I was a believer after this, your body starts producing stem cells and HGH. And then you go into autophagy, where your cells start cleaning themselves out. This is like our natural process. Most of us never get to that. And I think that really is not great for our health. So that was the long answer.
No, the thing is, there's so many different processes. There's so many different advice out there as to, oh, you should follow this strategy. You should follow this diet. You should fast here. You shouldn't fast there. Or, oh, if you don't eat lunch, that's not good for you. Who do you listen to? Like they're all experts in their own right, but
They're
then
all
I
wonderful.
don't
They're
know
all
who taught. No, I don't know who has the right answer.
lately. Okay. And this changes with me because last year I had a health scare and I was getting some minor outpatient surgery, and I went into a very deep meditation. I don't like any processes. I've been very healthy. I'm 71. I take no medication. That's pretty good.
Wow.
And I've had very little surgery. I've had an uneventful life that way. Knock on everything. And anyway, I was doing an outpatient procedure, and I went into this very deep meditation. I'm really good at meditating. I've been doing it for decades. And they gave me an echocardiogram. I didn't pay any attention. I'm just like getting ready and it was just not even very complex. The doctor comes, he says, we're not going to be able to do this procedure because we think you have a condition. I went, a condition? What does that mean? Am I going to die, doctor? He said, well, we're all going to die. Well, that didn't make me feel better. But he thought I had a condition. I promptly forgot the name of it, but I decided I did not have it. Number one, because I figured my meditation knocked me out of it like the test that they took. And I was going to get myself in the best health and retake the test. I was in pretty good health, but I wasn't great. So I decided, and it had to do with the heart. So my thought leader for that, and I would definitely recommend it if anyone had any heart issues, but I'm going to go into where my thinking is now, which is totally different, if that's okay with you.
Yep.
At that point, it was Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn's protocol in his book to prevent and reverse heart disease. And his protocol, and he guarantees you success. He actually guarantees you will not have a heart attack if you can get your cholesterol below 155 and your LDL below 80. And I hope I got those numbers right, but that's very close. So I said, well, I can do that. Try to do that. Try to have no fat, no oil, no animal products, nada, no avocados, no nuts, nothing. There's not a whole lot left. And especially if you go out, they cook everything in oil. So all of a sudden I feel like an alien. My daughter just come home from being away at college and with COVID, and I hadn't seen her for a while. And she had a friend with her, and everywhere we went, I felt like an alien. But I got used to it, and I made certain recipes. I lost 20 pounds. My blood profile, and this was over 4 months, 4 to 6 months at the end of it. My blood profile was magnificent, and all my levels went where they should be. So I think I'm feeling really good. But the problem was, and of course, I did not have the dread disease. So the problem was I lost a lot of muscle too, and I didn't really realize it. So I started to eat meat again. It was actually my birthday, and I went to one of my best friend's houses. And she said, "Oh, I made you 4 kinds of roasted vegetables with no oil." And I'm like, "Okay, what are you eating?" And she goes, "Lamb chops." I said, "I'm going to make an exception. It's my birthday." I ate 4 lamb chops, and then I went home and I fasted for the next 60 hours. And this was with Dr. Pradeep Jamnadas, after watching his YouTube videos and learning what he talks about, because I wanted the stem cells and the HGH and the autophagy. So I will say, and I'm kind of going all over the place in techniques and strategies, but number one, people need to check with their doctor. Anything that I say is not a recommendation. I really have to say that. It's my experience. And that's another thing that we're so lucky we can do. We have this experiment, our own bodies. I mean, and we give it the right materials, it really responds. So back to my story. So I started eating meat again and was much happier, but I try to focus on healthy fats. Like, I don't eat meat every day. And when I do eat it, I try to eat grass-fed if possible. I stay no deli meats ever. And because of the highly processed nature, no seed oils, a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of the nuts. Nuts are good, but I don't cook things in oil anymore. I don't saute. And the reason I don't do that is because heating oil damages it. And the effect in your body is not your friend. And that's even olive oil. So the way I know it sounds hard. How do you saute onions without olive oil? How do you saute anything? You can kind of braise it in vegetable stock, and then you can sprinkle olive oil on at the end. And then you haven't like destroyed the chemical bonds in the olive oil that make it into something that's going to be harmful in your arteries, which a lot of people, I'm the only one, and I'm not the only one, but I think about things like that a lot, like the endothelium layer of your arteries. And that's what all these highly processed foods are damaging.
Wow. That's very, very impressive. No, like there's a lot of people out there who are so focused on having that quick fix. So they'll resort to taking medicine, they'll go to take what do you call those protein shit, like they'll do vitamins and all that kind of stuff, so that they could avoid spending all that time that you're spending working on, oh, what do I eat, researching and all that kind of stuff. How do you convince people to change that kind of mindset instead of really just jumping into what everybody else is doing, then to go into, hey, you need to focus on what's best for you and focus on coming up with the right techniques or the right nutrition for your body instead of following everybody else?
Well, every person is different, and every person needs to look at it in a different way. And I think when I have a client, we review what are their habits, what are their activities. And usually I hate to, can I use this word? What you love the most bites you in the ass. Like usually whatever you're doing, like if you're not exercising a lot and you're not eating really healthy, usually it's fried foods or it's chips or it's something. And most people don't really even drink enough water. So here's a quick tip. And actually, I like to start with small steps because it's hard to do everything at once. And you're setting yourself up for failure if you're trying to do everything at once. If you do one small thing at a time and you start getting used to that, you'll see the results right away. I mean, for instance, if you're not drinking enough water and you're having issues with your digestion, that a lot of times will fix it. So current thought on water, and again, this changes with whatever science and more discoveries. Right now, current science is that half an ounce of water for each pound of body weight is considered sufficient. Now, I have a personal trainer, and that's another aspect we can talk about. But I train 5 days a week, and he thinks at least a gallon. So, but everyone's different. I'm not as big as he is. You know, he weighs 230 and he's 6'2", and I'm 5'4" and I weigh 115. So I don't know that I should have the same amount as him, obviously. So you have to like be realistic. You have to I'll tell you what I think is the most difficult for people that I've found. The most difficult for people is if they're not doing any exercise at all. And I'm starting with exercise because I really believe, especially at your age, I mean, if you exercise, you can get away with a lot of dietary debacles because it's just the way it is, you know, the way we age. But in your 20s, you have like unlimited organ reserve, I believe. Because when I look back at what I ate in my 20s, I'm surprised I survived. I mean, chocolate chip cookie dough batter, that was kind of a favorite thing. At any rate, so this many years later, looking back, I would say the hardest thing is to get people to start exercising. If you're not exercising, you always have an excuse. You're busy. I mean, I know you're really busy. And it's hard for people to work exercise in. It really is. And the hardest thing is to get started, I think. Once you get started, once you start getting that feeling that exercise gives you more energy. Even if you're not eating perfectly, exercise will start getting you there. And if you wanted to start eating correct, you know, eating what I consider to be the healthiest for your body, it would be start eliminating anything that comes in a box with a lot of ingredients, anything highly processed. Throw out every one of those seed oils. They are not your friend. Now, they're so highly processed. There's so many chemicals used in making them. And our bodies really, we haven't developed. Maybe another few 100,000 years.
You mentioned a few of those small steps that changes our habits and behaviors, water, the types of food we buy. But you also mentioned that the hardest part is getting started. And that has to do with the mindset. That has to do with willpower. So how do you help your clients overcome that hump of just getting started?
You have to find out what's important to them. Do they want to lose weight? Like, are they going on a trip somewhere with friends and they feel like they've gained a lot of weight and they want to get in a bathing suit? How can they lose weight? So you have to find whatever motivates them. And it's different things with different people. I mean, for me, I had 2 stepfathers die of lung cancer by the time I was 25. I was terrified of medical procedures. I saw what they went through. It's not pretty. When you get sick, it's not beautiful. And you think most people, I don't know the exact statistic, but a lot of people suffer with heart disease or cancer in the last 2 decades of life, and they don't die quickly, and they have a lot of pain and suffering and meds and procedures. That to me is not where I want to end up. I want to end up healthy and vital when I'm 70 now. I intend to live another 40 years. And that's another subject we can talk about, longevity, because there's some great research out there now for that. So you have to find what's important to them. And if you can find that, and they know they have a health issue, I mean, people make excuses, you know, especially with eating. And I'll tell you one thing that's really easy to fall in the trap. Salty carbs, especially with a little fat, like salted nuts or French fries. How can you eat one? Like I'll sit down, I'll say, oh, I just want one pistachio nut. But all of a sudden there's like a bowl full of the shells. I don't even know what happened. So this is going to make you laugh. I'm not sure the number of trillion, but there's maybe 10 trillion cells in your body and 100 trillion cells in your gut. I just heard that last week, and I'm pleased. My numbers might be wrong, but that just makes me wonder who's really in charge.
I think I heard the same thing. I just recently heard something like that too.
Like,
when it comes to peak performance, when it comes to supporting your body right, when it comes to longevity and all that kind of stuff, are the small steps the same, or do you have to apply different strategies for each type of thing that you want to achieve?
Well, there's certain, like an exercise, for example, there's cardiovascular,
Mhm.
where you get your heart rate up. That's hugely critical, and everyone needs that. There's also strength training. Everyone needs that too. It keeps your bones denser. It keeps your muscles healthier. You need to be able to, like, for example, like you need to be able to stand up without help when you're at any age. And when people are older, you'll see they can't do that. And that's because they're not using their bodies and their muscles. And so you have the endurance. Then you have flexibility is hugely important too. Another one is balance. You asked, so I'm telling you, this is all of it. And I mean, it's not everyone does all of them, but it's good to do some of each. And another one, this is from Tom Brady. I learned about from his book that I bought last year. I was going to meet him, and I'm not the most savvy person about football, but I know he's really healthy. And I know he had a book, and his book was fascinating. And he introduces something called pliability. And I'd never really heard of that concept, but when you're a young child, your muscles are all pliability. And as you get older, they get less pliable and they get denser. And then when you get injured, it's longer to recover if you're not pliable. So he has exercises, and he has like a roller ball that you put on your muscles, and it helps make it more pliable. And I think that's another aspect. So it is a little complicated, but like someone for your age, if you were just doing cardio and some weights and a little bit of stretching, that usually is sufficient, and maybe a little yoga now and then. But it depends on the person, where they're coming from. Like if you were hugely overweight, say you came to me and you're hugely overweight, I would say, well, first see how much water you're drinking. Let's start walking. What are
Mhm.
you eating? Let's talk about that. And I try to get you motivated and excited about what's on the other side. If you can think about what's on the other side of you reaching your goal and your weight and your fitness, then it's something to go to.
Mhm. Now you
People,
mentioned that you want to live another 40 years, correct?
well, I used to think like in the 90s, but okay, this is Dr. David Sinclair. Have you heard of him?
No.
Dr. David Sinclair is doing a lot of research, and I actually find I have more energy taking this formula. He believes that there's no reason. He believes that aging is a disease,
Mhm.
that our chromosomes are starting to shut down, and he believes that the things that he's doing can kind of reverse that a little bit or stop it. And he's had a lot of success with mice and yeast, and he's doing some human trials. And I'll tell you one other thought leader that I follow a lot is Andrew Huberman. Dr. Andrew Huberman's at Stanford, and he's doing research on the brain that my brain explodes when I listen to him sometimes. So there's a lot of the internet, there's a lot of
Mhm.
fabulous things going on out there that are helpful. What
Wow.
I learned from Huberman is that I'll share here is for sleep. His formula is melatonin with, let's see, L-theanine and magnesium, but it's the threonate magnesium. And I don't know, I'm not saying dosages or anything like that. If anyone's interested, they can look at the videos and find out more about it. While I'm quoting all my mentors who don't know they are, I want to finish this little part of the discussion with Dr. Peter Attia, who he's probably one of the more scientific ones to listen to that I have the most difficulty with.
Mhm.
But what he says that I love the most is if you don't have your physical house in order, he says, I'm so sick of everyone talking about their supplements and what they're eating. If they don't have their physical house in order, I don't even want to know. Well, his physical house in order is a lot more stringent than my physical house in order, because he's like 10 pull-ups and, a seated squat for 2 minutes, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
But I'm kind of going that direction. I'm working with a personal trainer 5 days a week. I walk at least half an hour a day, and I'm starting to run a little bit. That's another thing. I think if you can get your heart rate up 5 times during the day, it's very helpful to your health without being crazy about it. Whatever you're doing, maybe do it a little more intensely. Like
Mhm.
if you're walking, maybe walk as fast as you can for 30 seconds. And that'll help the fat burning start.
Uh, that's a
Wow.
good tip to consider. I never thought about, okay, I need five heart rate increases per day, but I'll keep that in mind now. You mentioned about sleeping, and so what is the magic number for optimum health when it comes to sleeping?
I think it's different for everybody, but it seems to be 7 to 8 hours for most.
Mhm.
I don't usually get more than 6, but if I sleep 8 hours, I feel magical. I feel so good. And there's a woman, I don't remember her name, but she's doing a lot of research with athletes. And they found when they added 2 hours to their sleep, and they were already sleeping 8 hours, when they got 10 hours, their performance really improved.
Well,
So sleep is the foundation of health. I'm glad you brought that up, because sleep is really, a lot of people have issues with sleep.
well,
And
that's
really,
because I think a lot of people go, well, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. I need to wake up early to work on this. I need to sleep late to work on that. So, is there what's the give and take? Is there a scientific kind of ratio as to okay, for every hour you lose, you decrease the amount of efficiency in your work?
I there might be those statistics. I'm not privy to them. I don't know those, so I don't even want to surmise, but I really think it's highly individual. I mean, look at JT Fox. He seems to do pretty well in 4 hours a night. I mean, he
Exactly.
has more energy than anyone I've ever met.
Hmm.
And a lot of people do. And my second husband was the same. He didn't sleep more than 6 hours,
Hmm.
and he was like a dynamo. But I just noticed with me, and everyone's different. I found when I do get a little more sleep, I mean, and that's another thing with the body. Your body's doing a whole lot of operations that you know nothing about
Hmm.
to preserve itself, because the body is wanting to live as long as it can and as best health as it can. That's the beauty of doing anything to improve your health. You
Hmm.
get the fastest results. You just start drinking water, things are changing. If you weren't drinking enough,
Hmm.
if you start doing what your body needs, if you start supporting the needs of your body without being crazy about it, just increasing exercise if you need to, maybe doing strength training if you're not, a little yoga if you don't have any flexibility, trying to stand on one foot, practice that if you don't have balance. Balance is hugely critical as you age, because you have a fall. A lot of people don't come back from falls when they're older. I know it's hard for you to relate. I was immortal at that age.
You keep on saying at that age. I don't know if you think I'm a lot younger than I am.
I might. I'm not really good at guessing
I,
ages, but
I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you.
it is a compliment. I'm not even gonna guess on camera at any rate. But
Awesome. Now throughout this interview, we hear you talk so technically about health, about sciences, about research, but you have a very artistic side of you, which is very uncommon when it comes to somebody who's so focused on scientific research. So you've also found out that when it comes to art, it really helps people with anxiety, with their stress levels, and ultimately their health. So, kind of share with us that process. How did you go from somebody you've actually had a lot of art background, who's so focused in the art area, and also have the scientific ability to do research and think about technical stuff when it comes to nutrition and health, and then with art, how does that help with anxiety?
okay, well, to start off, I am a trained artist. That's where I went to college. I went to an art college and graduated in Baltimore. It was Maryland Institute College of Art, and it was a fabulous school. And what I learned there was how to solve problems, and that's in any media. And I was a fine arts student. When I graduated, I went into the HR office. I said, "Oh, what kind of job can I get?" I was 25 years old. I was a ceramic sculpture major. I didn't like working with seniors or young children. That was really all that was available to me at that point without more education. And they said, "Well, they said, well, I don't know." And I said, "Well, there's a graphic designer opportunity on the board. I see it at the airport. They're redoing the airport. It's a big project. That sounds really fun." "Oh, you'll never get that. You didn't take one graphic design course." I said, "Excuse me, I took drawing, I took color, I can do this." And I went out and got the job. I was a graphic designer for the next 20 years.
Well,
And that was really exciting. So I think not being able to see the big picture enables me in health to really like know how to come about it, to look at it from different angles. And to really, and when I look at the health of the country as a whole, I'm dismayed. I'm really sad, because I kind of, and in a lot of ways, I thought we would have evolved a little bit better in my life. But that other aspect of it, I've always done art my whole life. Even though I was working as a graphic designer, I was still painting and drawing and doing ceramics. And that's been my whole life. I've always had art on the side. And I think it's kept me pretty mentally stable and happy. There's a lot of research now saying that the practice of art, it doesn't even have to produce a great product. You don't have to have a masterpiece. None of my pieces are going in the Louvre. Well, maybe, but I don't think so. Not in my lifetime. But at any rate, what matters is the process. The process of you actually just doodling has relieved mental health. So that to me, that was really exciting when I learned about that and I started looking into the research. And of course, there's a whole field of art therapy that's been doing that forever. But when COVID broke out, I thought, well, this is a great thing that people could do. And I tried to promote that just to doodle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a lot of value in that. So even like if you're in a meeting and your attention's, or even if you are paying attention, you're just doodling with a really cool pen. That's kind of fun. And then you're doing something good for your psyche.
Mm-hmm. Now, for somebody who goes, you know what, I don't have time to focus on art stuff. I don't have time to read, draw, or jump into my artistic side. What do you tell them? How do you convince them, like you convince somebody when it comes to exercise?
And that's the thing too. People say, well, I have no talent at all. I don't even want to try. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It's a physical act, much like you would do curls in a gym or you would run on a treadmill or you'd go for a walk. It's another activity that's fun. And if you can find something you like to write with, I would start there.
Mm-hmm.
Like if there's a special pen you like, or like for me, if I have a great marker or a fountain pen, what an exotic thing that is these days. Something that the ink flows nicely, and if it's a different color than black, that's fun too. And just put some lines down and not even pay attention to it, just free form.
Mm-hmm.
And it's relaxing. Or throw some watercolor on a page. If you have kids or you know anyone's watercolor, play with that. And another really awesome thing to play with is clay. A lot of people are going on like clay dates where they, like in that movie where they try to throw a pot. I'm forgetting the name of the movie, but
I think it was Ghost.
exactly. And it was very romantic. So, I mean, a lot of those studios are seeing a lot of date nights and things like that. And that's kind of fun. So I would say like anything, like even chalk on a sidewalk with a kid or yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you do, making a sandcastle, anything that is doing something out of the ordinary for you, because we're so focused, and it's nice to give your brain a little bit of a break, but it's not even giving it a break if you're in a meeting and you're just kind of, I guess it's not really disrespectful to the speaker, I don't think.
I know you're also very focused when it comes to community as well. And you've created a foundation, the Body Mechanics Wellness Foundation, to help out with regards to that. Share with us that story. How did that come about, and how can people get more involved with that?
So the Body Mechanics Wellness Foundation, I started it was like around 2007. At the time, I owned a gym. I owned a gym for 12 years, and that was a fabulous experience. And I got to see, actually, as an aside, I got to see people change their fitness level from being overweight and taking all kinds of medications to getting in shape and coming off their medications and being a lot happier in life. So one of the things that happened when we opened the gym was the insurance companies at that time were it was kind of a brilliant thing to do. They offered free gym memberships to their clients, like big clients, like the Broward County School Board is 31,000. Broward County employees are 5,000. The sheriff's office is another 4,000 or something. I marketed heavy to them because they were paying, I think, $30 a month for one, if they came into the gym once. That was huge to us. And Florida is very competitive in the gym market. And that monthly rates that were like $20 a month. Now they're even less for some of them.
Mm-hmm.
The better ones are more, but at any rate. So I marketed heavy to them. And one of the people that joined was a terminal manager from one of the bus driver terminals. There were 1,300 bus drivers in Broward County. That's a big number. He said, oh, maybe you could come work with our bus drivers, because a lot of them, have weight issues. A lot of them have diabetes. It turned out 90% or more were overweight or obese of the bus drivers. So I went, this is a great project. So I put together a program called The Biggest Loser. It was the time of The Biggest Loser. I called it The Biggest Winner. So this was the Biggest Winner competition. The insurance company gave us monthly prizes, and so did some local merchants. And I went out and I got everyone signed up, and I'd weigh and measure them every week for 3 months. And once a month we'd give out prizes. Whoever had the biggest improvement, it wasn't amount of pounds, it was improvement. So it was improvement in BMI, your body mass index, improvement in your waist hip ratio. What is the measure of your waist and your hip? And that ratio is hugely important for your heart health. So that was how we did it. And it was very successful. And I also shared it with the county workers. We did it with county workers as well. and had competitions there. We worked with the insurance company. It got to the point, it was very successful. And at one point, the bus drivers at one terminal would take a small bus. They have a 5-hour gap between their morning and afternoon runs of picking the children up. And they would bring a small bus to the gym, and they started working out at the gym because they were members. Yeah. And we actually, some of the trainers would give them classes. We had belly dancing classes. We had yoga classes for them. It was fun. And we worked on food. We collaborated with Whole Foods and did meals.
Wow.
So it was pretty successful. We got some media near the end of the program. The Miami Herald came in and wrote an article, and then ABC News came in. And the most exciting part was Rachel Ray sent a crew down, and they shadowed one of the drivers, and they flew her and her husband up to be on the show, the Rachel Ray show, to talk about her changing in her eating habits. I'll tell you one funny thing. I'm sorry, one more funny thing. The first time I went to the terminal, I mean, these are some innovative bus drivers. Two of the women were making breakfast for $2. You could get a heaping plate of pancakes, grits, eggs, sausage, and hash browns. That is not going to keep you in shape.
It's only $2.
Exactly. So we actually changed the food a little bit.
Now I know you do a lot of different things when it comes to, you do coaching and mentoring. You have events. You focus on community. What is your next big thing right now? What are you focused on right now?
I'm trying to figure out how I can get in touch with enough people and help influence the way they eat. I just think we're just not really taught very much about how to take care of our bodies, and at least I wasn't. And I just see the way we're eating, and it's just really damaging, and I don't think people really realize it, the effect that food has on the body.
Right.
I mean, when I was growing up, if you ate something, you had a stomach ache, you took something, you didn't think about what you ate.
Right.
And then when you go to the doctor, and it's not their fault at all, they treat the symptom.
Right.
They're all symptom focused. So it's like a lot of doctors are changing that now and determining cause. But I just think, and we need to be more responsible for our own health.
Right.
And not rely on everything else and medications and quick fixes, because they don't work for very long.
Now, having said that, let's put you on the world stage, and you have a few minutes to share the legacy message of Stephanie. What would that message be?
Oh my God. Okay, that would be, find your dream and be persistent. Don't let other people's negativity influence your cause or your path. Stay strong to it and be persistent. That's really one of the most important things, to just keep at it and to try to give your body the best materials and the best activities you can, so you have a long, healthy life. Nice.
Well done. Good words to live by. Now, before I let you go, I got 5 quick questions for you. Give me the first thing to come to mind.
Whoa. Okay.
Right. Stranded on a deserted island, one food to eat for the rest of your life, no consequence. Okay, no consequence. So you can go out and do all the unhealthy stuff that you want because there's no consequence. So what would that be?
Is there anything better than an avocado?
Personally, I'm not a fan of avocados, so I'll take your word for it.
Well, no consequence. It might have to be a mango. That's way too much sugar to eat on a regular basis, but yeah, they're delicious.
Wow, okay. Still a very healthy choice. If you got a chance to go back in time to your 12-year-old self and bring one item from today, what would that be?
It wouldn't be an item. It would be advice. It would be like, don't follow fashion for body image, because I grew up with Twiggy and that did not work out well. In case anyone doesn't know, Twiggy looked like a small boy, which is what the fashion designers thought was the beauty image. But now, luckily, with Beyonce, everyone has more healthy body images, I think.
Hollywood calls and go, hey, Stephanie, we want to do a biopic on you. Who would you cast to play you?
Oh, for someone who doesn't really know a lot of movie stars, I would say, I mean, to play me now would be like Diane Keaton or Michelle Pfeiffer.
Cool.
Like that. I'm going with my group here.
So Diane Keaton and Michelle Pfeiffer show up at your door, and they go, you know what? We both are applying to or trying out for this role to play you. We both want to get to know you a little bit more. Let's hang out. And then all of a sudden, they're like, you know what? But we're hungry. And you go, no problem. Let me go to the back. I'll fix you up something nice. What would you prepare for them for food?
I prepare a salad. I prepare a salad probably with arugula and radishes and some carrots, some purple cabbage. Instead of oil in the dressing, I would use white basil vinaigrette and some coconut aminos. And I give them some kind of protein. It might be a piece of fish. It might be a piece of chicken. It might be grass-fed beef. It might be plant-based. It might be hummus on a piece of whole grain bread.
Great.
We would not have dessert.
And my final question is,
what is the devil? Sorry, sugar is the devil. That's a message.
Give me a number from 1 to 4.
3.
1, 2, 3. So if you were to relate success to a chalkboard, how is success like a chalkboard?
Like a chalkboard because, well, if you write down where you're going and what you want to do, I think you have a better chance of getting there. That's really an old adage, but it is true.
Well, great. Well, that's how success is like a chalkboard. Any last words that you would like to share?
I guess maybe one thing that Jillian Michaels said when I interviewed her, she said, it's best because I did do some radical stuff in some of the journeys I talked to you about with the no fat, no oil, no animal products. She really believes it's best to have all macros and to think of yourself, like I said, at the other end, like what is it going to be like to be the weight you want to be or the physical fitness, the peak performance rate that you want. What's that going to be like when you get there? And that's motivating.
Great. As everybody can see, Stephanie, you are so full of energy, so full of life, and so knowledgeable in the nutrition, the fitness, and the art area. If anybody wants to reach out to you, what's the best way?
They can contact me through my website, stephanieshorr.com, or any of my many social media platforms, which I think are the most fun on the planet.
Great. Well, everybody, make sure you connect with Stephanie, find her social media stuff, connect with her, find out all the stuff that you need to find out when it comes to nutrition and fitness, because fitness and health is so important in our lives. Make sure you connect with Stephanie. Again, she is Stephanie. My name is Fong Chua. Until next time, today is the day to unlock your peak potential. We'll see you later.